I see around 28 people is already joining to this class for the introduction, and I hope more people they can join in this course. So let's begin. Let me share my screen. Hello, everyone. Hello. I hope you're all okay. All righty. So welcome on board. So this is the 30 hours Cisco SD-WAN. Basically, it's just focusing on design and deployment. The first level of the design and deployment. This is a basically fundamental track for the Cisco SD-WAN, and we are going to discuss about lots of things about the deployment. It's around 22 to 25 hours of lab, as well as this 5 to 8 hours of some topics from some theoretical training, right? What is the sound issue? So do you hear me well? What is the problem? You're okay?
Yeah, all okay. I can hear you.
Yeah. I guess somebody's just typing sounds issue. So I guess it's okay.
Guys, can anybody confirm you all can
Yeah,
listen?
yeah, it's audible.
Yeah,
Everything
it's clear. It's clear.
Yeah, all good.
It's all good, right? Okay. So here's the point. So we are going to talk about in today's session. It's an introduction session, and we are going to talk about about something about legacy WAN and what's happening all around the world. And it's a very hot topic because everybody's just in the network ecosystem. They're working and they're just focusing on the SD, let's say X topics. They're focusing on the SD-WAN topics. They're focusing on the SD access topic. So when you're talking about the network ecosystem, they are mostly focused on the SD training, okay? They're on the SD course, okay? So let's begin. Don't you feel it's so hot? I guess it's so hot. And these top trending hits, let's say in Cisco, we are going to talk a lot about SD-WAN and the WAN environment. We are going to talk so many topics about SD access in an enterprise world. And then LAN environment, we are talking about SD access environment, about the DNAC controllers. And also we have some, let's say, integration topic with the DNAC controller and SD-WAN topics. And we do also have some topics in a data center about the DC. So SDDC always, it's also involved in this session. And ACI, okay, application-centric infrastructure. And we are going to talk a lot about these kind of things, all right? Okay, so I guess you can hear me well, right?
Yes, yeah, you can hear.
That is brilliant. Yeah. Okay, so let's move on. So WAN, guys, have been changed a lot. We are not talking anymore. We are not talking about, previous legacy WAN. So in the previous generation of WAN ecosystem, we did have users that they are sitting in a branch, and branch needs to connect to the WAN environment. Let's say, for example, MPLS. I guess my voice is coming. I guess some people they have difficulties to hear me, but I guess it's okay. You all okay, right?
It's okay. I think it could be some individual issues, but it's fine for all.
Oh, good. Okay, no problem. Okay, so users were sitting in a branch, and the branch has a WAN connection. Let's say MPLS connection, the different type of MPLS connection. Some of them was connected to the landline, let's say ADSL line or XDSL line, VDSL, SHDSL. And then later on, they have some 4G connection or WiMAX connection in the previous generation, and they have been connected to the data center. From there, they have a connection to the internet. What was the reason of creating something like that? What was the reason they are not using internet as a WAN or connecting these users from the branch directly to the internet or delivering the internet Someone wants to control my screen. Sorry about that. So basically, the reason behind that was the management and the security reason. Nobody was sure about, creating these internet link and give them the direct access to the internet from there. Okay, so they have so many difficulties to connect from the branch, and when they just scale out the network throughout the world. Let's say they have 2,000 branches or 3,000 branches or 10,000 branches. They need to scale out these kind of connections, okay? And these MPLS links needs to be, moved all around the network, okay? And the internet connection, let's say, for example, if you do have 1 megabit per second link for each of these branches, and you want to deliver 1 megabit per second at least for 1,000 branch, you need to have 1 gigabit per second, okay? For 10,000 branch, you need to have a 10 GB, okay? And when you move on later on, when you're just scaling out, you need to have a lot more powerful hardware, as well as a lot more powerful links. And if in case of emergency, if you have failing your data center, the WAN link of the data center, then all of these internet link would be failed for the branches as well. So, but nowadays, what we say is we don't want to use these internet links as a link that is connected to the data center. We do want to give everyone an opportunity to use these links as a WAN link. So we can use this internet as a WAN link, okay? So let's say nowadays, we are not talking about internet as an internet link anymore. This internet link could be used as a WAN link. So we call this topic INET as a WAN, okay? So you can use this INET as a WAN to have the interconnection to your data center, okay? So you can get connected to the data center because we do have these links. We can pay for this link and use this link in a high bandwidth ratio, and we can use it to have interconnection to the data center. And we can also use these WAN links. It's not a WAN link, it's internet links to have to get connected to the internet as well, or use some SASE SaaS application in the cloud. And you can use some application in the cloud. Let's say if you want to use Office 360, or if you want to use some other application in the cloud, if you want to use them, you can use this internet link that is directly connected to your branch, okay? So now we are at the edge. Wherever you are at the edge of the internet. So you are connected to the internet. Either you are in the branch, you are connected to the internet. If you live in the data center, you are connected to the internet. If you are in the headquarters, you're also connected to the internet. If you are living in a cloud environment, you are connected to the internet. So wherever you are at the edge of the internet, okay? So this is the point of doing this. So in this course, we are going to talk a lot about SD-WAN. So what is this actual SD-WAN? Why do we need to have these SD-WAN? So WAN plus SDN plus fabric, it could come to the SD-WAN or software-defined WAN. So all of these remote networks, all of these VPN user branches, your multi-data center, you need to have a redundancy for your data center. You need to have a redundancy for your cloud environment and all of these different things and cloud services. You need to have management and automation and network programming skills. You need to have a software-defined networking and the fabric. If you combine them all, it's a mutation of WAN technology. And in fact, combining all of these technology would come to something what we call SD-WAN or software-defined WAN. And when we are talking about SD-WAN, we are not talking only about Cisco. This is a Cisco course, okay? But there are so many other different vendors out there that they can deliver these kind of things like the SD-WAN environment. But you know, the Cisco SD-WAN is one of the greatest SD-WAN technology out there. And what is the reason behind that? Because, you know, Cisco has lots of experience. It has lots of experience about deploying routing protocols, deploying so many routers, and it has been there since, let's say, 50 years ago or so, 40 years ago. So I can rely on the Cisco more than the other platform. I know there is a FortiGate SD-WAN solution, there is a VMware SD-WAN solution, and other vendors as well. And sometimes when you're looking at the Gartner report, you can tell they are just showing you something. They're just showing maybe VMware people experience is higher than Cisco. You know what is the problem? In my opinion, because they just want to have something very easy. And most of these kind of solutions that they have been delivered by other vendors, let's say VMware or FortiGate, they are very let's say automatic. Okay, so you do not need to get involved in these kind of things. But Cisco, it just gives you an opportunity to configuring everything by yourself, so you can set up your Cisco SD-WAN solution as an on-premise version. Okay, I will tell you later on about these kind of things. Okay, and what is the SD-WAN actually? So SD-WAN, or software-defined wide area networking, is an automated. First of all, it's an automated. So when we are talking about the SD-WAN or any SD kind of topology, SD access, SDDC, when you are talking about them, this is an automated a programmatic approach. So it means you can do the programming, you can use the network programming. And this is approach for managing the enterprise network, okay? Starting from your branches for your cloud services in an enterprise world connectivity and second cost. It is extended the software-defined networking into the application that business can quickly create a smart hybrid WAN. And do we have any let's say limitation on that? For example, the links between them, MPLS link or either internet link or SaaS or services or any other type of WAN link? No, the answer is very simple. You do not have any limitation on that. And you can have more bandwidth, more security, less delay, more availability, the cloud integration and direct internet access, and the troubleshooting that will be very, very fast. Okay, so when you're dealing with some troubleshooting scenario or the implementation scenario or the migration scenario, that will be hell of a easy kind of things. Okay, so I see someone has a question here. Ahmed, do you have any question? Okay, I guess if you do have any question, be my guest to ask your question. All right, I guess it's just some mistyping or something. All right, so we are talking about the enhanced application experience. Why SD-WAN? Because we do need to enhance application experience. So let's say, for example, if you have some application in your network, okay, you have an application service. Let's say you have a CRM on your backside, okay. Guys, can you do me a favor? Could you please make sure to mute your microphone? I guess somebody is just unmuted himself.
Hello, Kav. You are on mute.
Yeah, you have to unmute, Kaveh.
Is it
and guys, it's a request, if somebody is not speaking, please be on mute, so that at least after the this demo, whatever the doubts you have, you can upfront, you can ask Kaveh. Okay, so let's finish the demo first of all. Go ahead.
Okay, so let's say if you do have a CRM application in your network environment and you have a branch here, let's go back to the previous generation of the WAN legacy links. Okay, so let's say you have a branch that has 3 WAN links. One of them, the first one was MPLS. The second one, let's say you're using internet as a WAN link, and you have something, let's say 4G LTE link, and it's connected to these application server at the same time. Okay, all these 3 of them. And if you do have some problem with that, some, let's say, bad user experience of working with this CRM, the traffic coming from the branch or the traffic coming from the, let's say, your data center. If you do have a bad experience, what was your solution? So in the previous generation, Cisco has introduced, in 2015, I guess, Cisco has introduced something which was called Intelligent WAN, or simply we call them IWAN. The IWAN technology was the first generation of deploying an automated version of these SD-WAN. Okay, it was a previous version, and I do have some experience of playing with that IWAN. That IWAN was brilliant. In my opinion, it was brilliant. But the problem was, they have started to delivering these automation by using the APIC-EM. There was a previous application. The APIC-EM application was an application, the only application for the automation. And it was not okay, honestly, because the entire IWAN technology was something like the combination of DMVPN and IPsec. And let's say if you do have a large scale environment, you are using the BGP and CA servers, and as well as the APIC-EM. And if you combine them both with PFR, performance routing, and QoS, you're going to have some solution which is called the IWAN. But in the next generation, after 2017 or 18, Cisco has decided to buy a company called Viptela. And they have bought this Viptela company in order to deploy the Cisco SD-WAN solution, okay, to enhance the application experience. So basically, if you do have a problem of delivering these kind of application on one link, let's say if you're using these CRM traffic on your 4G, and if you do have, let's say, jitter problem or latency problem, okay, you have a higher latency link. So in this case scenario, what you can do, you can just make a new version, okay, in an absolute automated version, in an absolute automated way. So you can redirect the traffic from your 4G links to the INET links without any effort. And this is done only by SD-WAN, and you don't need to worry about that. So the pervasive security, you need to have an optimized for the multi-cloud version, okay? The visibility for proactive insight, okay? Guys, in the previous generation, let's say in the legacy environment, when you do want to monitor the network performance, okay, when you do want to have an insight for the high bandwidth application utilization, you need to set up other application. But in this case, with the SD-WAN solution, you have an absolutely integrated version, okay? So how about the operational simplicity? Yes, that is brilliant. So if you do use the simplicity, if you do use the SD-WAN, you do have a simplicity. Only by do some click, you can do the integration or migration or deploying some kind of new ecosystem. And that would be very, very easy. 65% lower cost on the connectivity. You have a 33% more efficient WAN management, 59% faster onboarding, okay? If you do want to onboard a new branch or a couple of new branches, let's say if you do have 100 new branches in a normal situation, in the regular way, if you do want to migrate them to your SD-WAN environment, it took a while, let's say a couple of months sometimes. But in an SD-WAN environment, it took a couple of seconds, honestly, a couple of minutes, if you do connect them to the internet, and that would be all, because you do have the automation on everything. You can do this zero-touch provisioning on all of different parts of your network environment. You have 58% faster implementation of the policy. If you implement a policy in the whole network ecosystem, okay, and if you see some problem on that, you can have a rollback scenario in a matter of seconds, not minutes, not a month. Even you are not experiencing any failure within your domain because you do have a controller. And 94% reduction in unplanned downtime. There is no downtime, honestly. You do not have any downtime unless you have some bugs on the SD-WAN controllers. And 48% reduction in application latency. So you do not have any experience of that, okay? So that's it. Sorry, I almost forgot to tell you who I am and who are we in this class. My name is Kaveh Eslahi, and I'm a CCIE 64313, CCNP Enterprise Certified, CCDP, CCDA, CCNA, MCSE, MCSA, And I have two other colleagues in this course, Peyman Kazemi and Fard, and also Amin Morim. Peyman is also a CCI certified, and I'm almost 22 years in this market and in this business for 22 years. I do have a lots of experience from the legacy routing protocol. Let's go back to the RIP, rest in peace routing protocol. Since then, I do have experience in enterprise world, in data center, sometimes in security environment, and even in service provider. Now I'm focusing more on the SD kind of things, topology, technology, and on DevNet, and possibly I'm attending on the CCNP DevNet exam in the next 3 months. My nickname is CCI expert, and if you do want to find me on the LinkedIn, just search Kaveh Eslahi through the LinkedIn and you can add me. And if you do want to ask any question, be my guest to ask your question. Okay, is there any question so far? Can you hear me well? Everything you go say is okay back there? So let's do recap from the previous generation. In the latest generation, we did have a transport protocol. Let's say we did have DMVPN kind of things. We did have a securing path. Let's say if you do want to set up everything, the setup of the overlay mechanism on top of your underlay path, you need to use some IPsec kind of things. Okay, so first of all, we are combining GRE with IPsec in order to deliver the overlay mechanism and security at the same time. The routing protocol, there are two different types of routing protocol in the Cisco environment. Either you can use EIGRP or BGP. In a small version, you can use the EIGRP, and in the largest version, you can use the BGP for the routing protocol. And the main problem was that your control plane information and data plane information means the real data and the control plane, let's say your routing protocol information and everything will be transferred in your tunnel. Okay, so when you do set up a tunnel, that tunnel would be used for two different reasons, okay, at the same time. And you're mixing these two tunnels, instead of having two different tunnels, you need to use them both at the same time. And from the topology perspective, you can have two different types of topology. You can have either a full mesh topology, let's say spoke to a spoke topology, or either you can have a hub and a spoke topology, okay, in the previous version. You can have a link aggregation and load balancing. So you can send the traffic in so many different ways based on, let's say, different parameters, let's say based on the destination IP address, or either sometimes you can send the traffic based on our application. If you do use PFR and you can inspect the traffic based on some protocols like NBAR, network-based application recognition, with, let's say, AVC, application visibility and control. If you're using these kind of things and you can inspect the traffic and understand the type of traffic, you can send the traffic on so many different ways, and you can use the link aggregation and load balancing. So QoS was used for prioritization. You can use the application recognition. You can use NBAR, as I've told you, and AVC, and intelligent path control for the link utilization, latency, and end user experience was delivered by some protocol called PFR. And in my opinion, PFR, was one of the magnificent feature of Cisco platform that have been introduced, in that time, because it was absolutely magnificent. I'm telling you, we did have so many good experience to play with PFR. And the direct internet access, yes, you can have the direct internet access as well. And for the control and management and orchestration, you did have only one way, and it's called I1 app, or simply we call this APKM, all right, enterprise module. So I1 could be intelligent, but it is not very intelligent, okay? It was something, let's say, very smart for that moment, but later on in the 2020, I1 is not going to fit all of your requirements, okay? But the network of today requirement, you do need to have one very smart solution to change the network in an automated way. An application is just moving to the cloud. The internet edge is right at the branch, okay, right at wherever you are in the network. The mobile devices are everywhere. These applications needs more bandwidth, more than ever, okay? More IoT devices is come to the network. Let's say you have webcam, you have, let's say, some normal things, some very regular equipment in normal life. They are all become an IoT devices, and you need to connect them to the network because you want to manage them. And can you live without AI? Can you live without artificial intelligence or machine learning? You cannot. You need to have one solution which is smart. We can understand the current situation, which it can learn your current infrastructure and has an impact on your network. And you need to have an achievable SLA. Okay, what is the references on this course, guys? In my opinion, there are not so many references. These books are okay, but in my opinion, they are just okay. And you can use these books in order to, study for the SD-WAN. So Cisco software-defined wide area network for designing, deploying, and securing your next generation WAN with the Cisco SD-WAN. This is a okay book. In my opinion, it's just okay because it's kind of an old version. It has some, let's say, mistake in that book, but it's an okay book to start, okay? And it has been written by Jason Gooley. He was kind of an old person in this ecosystem. And there's other books. It's a very good book for practicing if you want to have an absolute practical version of deploying Cisco SD-WAN. There is a book called Cisco SD-WAN, a practical guide to understand the basic of Cisco Viptela based SD-WAN solution. And it has been written by Tony Pasanen. He's a friend of mine. He's an okay book also. Yeah, but and the book is absolutely cheap to buy. If you want to buy them, you can buy them both. And there are other let's say, references out there. If you want to use them, I deeply recommend you to go to the Cisco Live and watch them. And there are so many different videos out there. There are so many different PDFs there. I use most of them myself, but I had some experience of deploying SD-WAN in real life. So let's say these two books are the best references out there. And how about the Cisco course outcome? What you are going to learn in this course, it's going to be Cisco SD-WAN intro. So this is today's session and the next Monday session. And the Cisco SD-WAN component, we are going to talk about the control plane, data plane, and a management plane. Then we are going to talk a lot about the orchestration plane as well. Let's say talking about so many different types of VBON deployment. A single or multi-tenant network environment, the control plane component, let's say we are going to talk about TLOC, OMP, BFD, and service routes. And about the data plane component, we are going to talk about colors, IPsec tunnels, encryption, NAT types, and even bidirectional forwarding. Sometimes in the control plane, we are going to talk about that as well. The management and orchestration plane, we are going to talk about the vManage, vSmart, and vBond, and some of the third-party application out there, and about the intelligent path selection and route redistribution, and also about the Cisco SD-WAN. When we talked about all of these components in the theoretical version, we are going to talk about, we are going to experience actually the Cisco SD-WAN onboarding and provisioning in the lab. So we have some pre-onboarding checklist, okay? For example, some kind of things about the CA, out-of-band management network, the design consideration that you need to take before the deployment. And in my opinion, there are so many SD-WAN videos out there. You know, the point is none of them is going to teach you how to design or how to decide before the deployment, okay? So there are some kind of a checklist that you need to take before the deployment, and you need to make sure you're going to check all of them, okay? For example, you need to check your current hardware platform, and most of them, they have a lab experience, but in this course, we are going to teach you everything in a real world, okay? That would be a real world. So if you do want to understand the real topics, this is a very good course for you. And the controller onboarding, we are going to talk about that. And also we are going to have a lab for that. The edge router onboarding manual and the ZTP or zero touch provisioning that have been delivered also by Cisco. And the Cisco SD-WAN policy, we have different Cisco policy type. Let's say the localized versus the centralized policy, the policy domain, the administration, activation, and deployment. And you need to have a deep understanding of packet forwarding in the SD-WAN policy. And there are so many other different centralized policy type. Let's say isolated branch, DC as a transit, full mesh versus regional mesh. So guys, honestly, these kind of things, sometimes people just miss these kind of things. Let's say some regional mesh or full mesh, these kind of things. And the INET, the direct internet access policy, and the extranet. Let's say if you do have extranet links on the network, you need to have a policy for them as well. Oops. So we have a different direct internet access type. Let's say if you do want to have a guest user internet access or the cloud access or the direct internet access for a legitimate user, okay? That is obvious. Yeah, you need to have them all at the same time. And the traffic engineering based on the deep packet inspection. We also do talk a lot about OMP and how OMP works as a new routing protocol in the network, in the Cisco ecosystem, okay? We are going to talk a lot about that and about the different building blocks and configuration with vManage and activating the traffic flows on a tunnel interface, monitoring, data policy, control policy, and the quas policy and forwarding class, okay? And is there any certification? Yes, there is some certification that you can take. There is a Cisco SD-WAN certification, ERS DWI, implementing the Cisco SD-WAN solution. And if you do continue with us, at the end of the course, we are going to help you to get this certification as well. So be my guest to tell us your opinion about that. So if you do want to get the certification, this is a very good course for you to have a practical experience as well as the certification experience as well. So tell me about yourself. I'm going to pick 3 candidates from here and tell me why do you want to attend this course. So let's ask who's the Emmanuel. Hello, Emmanuel. If you can turn on your video and if you can turn on your microphone, that would be brilliant. Emmanuel, are you out there? How about you, Sunil? Do you want to talk? Sunil?
Hi.
Hello.
Yes, myself Sunil, and yes, I wanted to join this module as I have decided to continue with the enterprise network and for my future. So yes, and the second thing is it is the most demanding topic in the industry and the most upcoming technology on which we have to work a lot, and that technology is going to be involved in every organization, no matter in which field we are. So yes, for that reason, I want to be in that module. And yes, I have taken a few demo classes from you for CCIE, and yeah, I found that was very relevant to be in your class. I mean, the way you taught was very good for me, and that was the thing. Like when I got to know like you are going to conduct the SD-WAN session as well for that. So yes, that's why I said like, okay, that would be a great thing. Like if we're gonna be in that class. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thanks very much for that. All right. Okay. Let's say ask someone else in the class. Rakesh, I guess. Rakesh, are you there? Do you want to talk? All right, I'm going to ask Moise Kufi, I guess. Moise, are you out there? Mohammed? Moise Kufi?
Yes, I'm there. Good evening.
Good evening. How are you? Can you just turn on your video as well? We can see you.
Now it's not possible where I am. Sorry for that.
No worries. It's okay.
Okay. No, actually, I would like to do the CCNA exam.
Mm-hmm.
So anything about Cisco, I am really interested about that. So that is the reason why I have joined the session.
All right. All right. Are you working in a network ecosystem right now or not?
No. But I was
Okay.
working in a networking environment, but now I am no more. So I would like to come back.
Okay. That's brilliant. It's a very good
Yes.
choice of you.
Thank
All
you.
right. The last person that I do want to ask is Mohammad Rizwan. Mohammad, are you there?
Yes, I'm there. Good evening. Thank you so much.
No worries, my pleasure. Okay, tell us why you're in this class. What is your reason that you want to just do join to our training sessions?
Actually, networking, right? They have a lot of courses. They have a lot of good trainer. So I'm very glad to attend this class. Actually, I want to join SD-WAN because you know why? I want to find the job SD-WAN because one of the requirement I had a last interview SD-WAN. So maybe I can't understand SD-WAN concept because you know why? Because I have no experience. So that's the reasons I have to learn and I have to do more labs and I have to understand what is the MPLS, the next generation. So that's the reason I have to join the class.
Thank you very much. Thank you very
Thank
much.
Thank you.
No
Thank
worries.
you.
Okay, thank you for speaking. So guys, how about the lab? If you want to do the lab, you need to use the Eve. I'm not going to tell you about how to implement the Eve machine, but the only thing that you do need on your Eve machine is the resources. It's kind of, you need to have a very powerful CPU and memory hardware, okay, if you do want to set up your own lab environment. But I do believe that networking is going to deliver you and they're going to give you the lab access during the course.
Yes. I just want to add here, Kabe. So yes, guys, the people who gonna enroll for this course, they are getting a lab access from networking. There is no restrictions. They can do a practical anytime, 24/7.
Yep, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. In my opinion, I didn't have a chance to have a lab access for myself when I was studying for that. So you have a chance to play with everything here. So that's
I
very
think
good.
without the lab, I think SD-WAN is nothing. If in case you're not doing the practice, nothing. There is no point to do SD-WAN.
That is absolutely correct. Yes, without the lab
And in
environment,
this
you
course,
cannot.
what we decided that most of the time we are going to spend on the practical part, right?
Yes.
Thank you.
Around 90% of the course, we are going to deal with the lab. As I've told you, around 22 to 25 hours of the class would be absolutely practical session. Okay, so let me tell you something else about the CCI candidate. If you are a CCI candidate, if you want to do the exam, is one of the most critical part of your exam would be the SD-WAN environment. So if you do want to apply for the CCI enterprise infrastructure, you need to make sure that you understand SD-WAN deeply, okay? You need to have a very good understanding of Cisco SD-WAN Viptela solution, okay? And it's highly recommended to finish up these things. And this is a lab, guys. This is absolutely the lab topology. We do have two different courses. The first version of Cisco SD-WAN is a fundamental of the SD-WAN, bringing up the fabric and the course outline that I mentioned, okay? But there is another one, the advanced SD-WAN topic, okay? The advanced SD-WAN course, which is involved with two different data centers, different type of MPLS, cloud version application, and also some different type of branches, different type of a C edge and V edge. I will tell you later on what are them. And then that will be all, okay? And this is your lab, okay? And in the real world scenario, before you begin, you need to create a checklist, okay? Later on in this course, I will tell you what is this kind of a checklist, okay? But you need to make sure you are going to check everything in your network environment. You need to have a checklist for your hardware equipment. You need to have a checklist for your software environment, for your controllers, and for everything. You need to have a checklist, and you need to have a deep knowledge of your deployment module. Okay, I'm not going to tell you everything about that. So let's move on to the practical topics. Okay, so let's forget about them here, and let me share the PowerPoint. All right. All right, give me 1 minute. Okay, now let's share the screen and let's begin. Okay. So can you see this? Is it visible for everyone?
Yep.
All right. Okay. So let's start with the solution overview of the system. Okay. It is a little bit different than what you might think of that. You have been deploying in the past, and we just divided the system up into the plans. So first of all, let's get familiar with these icons. Okay, about this jargon. So we do have some V-edge router and C-edge router. So the difference between V-edge and C-edge routers in this course is V-edge router is an absolutely Viptela platform, and the C-edge are the Cisco platform routers. Let's say when you're playing with the Cisco ISR or ASR platform, these kind of router, we call them C-edge in the Cisco SD-WAN solution, and these are SD-WAN, actual SD-WAN routers. Okay. And how about the other? This is a vSmart controller. vSmart controller. vManage is a management application controller and the management plane controller. And the vBond is the orchestration plane controller, right? Okay, and this is the Cisco SD-WAN solution overview. So Cisco SD-WAN is just dividing the system into planes. First of all, we have an orchestration plane, which is run by the vBond orchestrator. So I'll tell you a little bit more about what that does. There is also management plane, which is where you're going to manage and interact with the network. And that is the responsibility of the vManage tool. And then we have a separate control plane that's separate from the router, and it is running on very much like the route reflector. I don't know if you're familiar with the route reflector. Is anyone here that is familiar with the route reflector here? Do you know what is a route reflection?
Yes, I mean, we know that.
Okay, tell us, what is a route reflector?
Route reflector is basically an approach or the term that is used in when we configure the BGP and where we do not want to configure a mesh topology in BGP. So what we do, we simply configure a router as a route reflector and make others the neighbor with them. So that will work to reflect the routes instead of having multiple neighbor sheets. So that helps to manage or take care of the resources.
That is absolutely correct. That is absolutely correct. And thank you very much. So the control plane or vSmart, which you can see here, they are playing as a route reflector. On what it does, the route reflector, these kind of modules, they are responsible to receive the route from the edge router, and they are going to reflect these routes into the entire network ecosystem. So they do not need the V-edge router, they do not need to create an adjacency between each other. And the control plane connection will be between V-edge router and the route reflector only, okay? So can you imagine, depends on the different number of WAN link that you can have, you only have a limited number of control plane connection with your control plane modules, okay, with your control plane vSmart. And that is a very smart way to control the scaling of these kind of network, okay? So this separate control plane, it just separate your router from the data plane, okay? This is running in software, and that could be either VM or it could be in a container version as well. And basically it's separated from the data plane, and so it can scale independently, okay? Is it okay? Then we have a data plane, okay? And down there, if you look into that down there, you would see the edge router, the C-edge router, and these edge router, they are absolutely responsible for the policy enforcement and forwarding the actual data packet in the network. And also they are responsible for the security encryption, okay? And anything that do with the data, okay? Or free manipulation that is done by the data path of the router, okay? So creation a secure IP tunnel between different sites for forwarding the data traffic through those tunnels, and all of these things is going to done by the data plane itself. So this is what we call the edge routers. These edge routers are responsible to do the data forwarding. And this is how we divide Cisco SD-WAN into and divided that one into the system. Okay, is there any questions so far? I guess that is very, very easy to understand. So let's talk about this component individually. So the first thing first, we are going to talk about vBound orchestrator. What is this vBound orchestrator? The vBound orchestrator, in my opinion, it's a bootstrapper, okay? So the bootstrapper, it means it's just showing up himself, and it's going to bring up the devices. And they are going to, when the devices are coming up to the network, they're going to talk with the first thing first that they are going to talk is the vBound. And vBound is kind of an orchestration plane component. And this is the only component of the orchestration plane. When the power of the devices, they are going to read the vBound and try to get the information about the network. So they are going to talk with the vBound, and they are going to ask the vBound where the other controllers in the network, okay? So they're going to ask the vBound, okay, hello vBound, where are you? What if I want to, for example, speak with let's say, for example, vSmart or the vManage or other components of the network? What if we want to talk with them? How can we find this information, the information of them, okay? So if you want to talk with them, it's going to, they need to talk with vBound first. The first component of the SD-WAN would be vBound. And it also facilitates the NAT traversal because it is also STUN servers. I do not know if you know what is a NAT traversal and the STUN server. Is anyone here knows what is a STUN server? Okay, so let me tell you about that. So basically, when you're talking about the STUN server is kind of a mapping, having some information about a private and a public IP address mapping about all of these devices that are behind the NAT. Let's say if your controllers are behind the NAT, if you have a one-to-one NAT for them, you have a public IP address that is on the front side of your network, and you have a private IP address for your controllers. If you do have some kind of things, and if you do want to keep track of this information, and someone needs to have the information of them, in this case scenario, vBound is the responsible controller. It's a responsible, let's say, module of the SD-WAN that is going to keep track of these information, and it can basically receive that information and advertise these binding, okay, back to the system itself, okay? So when you do have a system, someone wants to, some of your edge nodes, when they want to reach the management, let's say vManage, so they need to have the public IP address and the private IP address, and all of these information is going to be advertised by the vBound, okay? So it's required to receive the public IP address for the zero-touch provisioning and things, okay? This is also going to be delivered by the vBound, and it is, you know, vBound have been built to deliver the resiliency. Okay, later on I will talk to you about later on in the next session about the highly resilient, how a vBound could be highly resilient. And vBound, it can also work in a multi-tenant environment. You can have different tenants inside the network, and vBound is one of the modules that can deliver that can work in two different versions. It can work in a single tenant or the multi-tenant environment. Are you okay? Is there any questions so far? All right. And the management plane, what is the management plane? The management plane is implemented by vManage application. And vManage, guys, this is a VM. This is an absolute virtual machine. So when we are talking about the SD, we are going to talk about software. And this is the very first component that you need to interact with it 24 hours a day, okay? So when you want to do the manage of these vManage entire network ecosystem, you need to speak with these vManage every day. This is where your primary interaction point with the network, and it is do all kind of, you know, network operation, whether or not you want to change a policy, you want to implement a policy, you want to change specific path, you want to apply an automated things into the network, okay? Let's say from onboarding to management to troubleshooting, any kind of scenarios would be delivered by vManage. So, and it has a management interface and functions of the network, whether it's a policy design or routing policy or data plane policies on the network, and troubleshooting and management, even the creation of these kind of templates, okay, to configure. For example, you want to configure a template and apply this template to the rest of the network, okay? That have been done by the vManage. And all of these kind of thing is going to be done excuse me, through the GUI interface with the interaction between you and the vManage tool itself. And you have to do almost nothing to the router itself most of the time. Okay, I'm not going to tell you lie. Sometimes you need to connect directly to the router. But what we do want, what is the main goal is to interact with some controller on its own, okay, and just get rid of all of the other things, okay? And it's a matter of fact, once router is brought on board to the vManage, you cannot modify the configuration on the box by itself, because vManage, it says, hello, I'm the manager. I'm the responsible controller to do so, okay? So when you are going to interact primarily with the vManage AC GUI, and it has the ability to program through the software, and it has a RESTconf API and the NetConf interface to do that, okay? Is it clear?
Yeah, hi, Kavish. This is Nanda.
Yep.
I have queries here because I'm working in a SD-WAN culture where my company has one product. So where you said the management, right? And so when it comes to the management, it's a combination of GUI and the CLI, right?
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah, because I do handle to update something or some policies, we use a GUI, and if it's not working and it's level of L2 level, we use a CLI, right?
Yes, that is correct. So we do have still, in the latest generation, let's say is in the 20-ish version of the SD-WAN, we do have still so many limitations, and there are so many bugs also. Sometimes you need to use the CLI. Yes, that is correct. But what we do want, the main goal of the SD-WAN is
जब
to
अपडेट आएगा तब हो जाएगा, तुम उसकी टेंशन ना लो. अपडेट मतलब भी जिनका
from
इनकम्प्लीट रिजल्ट शो कर रहा है उन
CLI. I guess someone was shouting. That was I guess something wrong with that. Okay, anyway, yes, you can use both a CLI and the GUI version, okay? And you can use it for software upgrade as well, okay? And this GUI also has an RBAC feature, the role-based access control list, and you can identify different access control for different person that they are responsible to have the management. For example, someone needs to do the monitoring and the troubleshooting perspective, someone needs to bring up the policy and modify the policy. And this is one of the main characteristics of the vManage also as well. And this vManage is absolutely highly resilient, okay? Let's move on to the vSmart. Okay, how about the control plane? For the control plane, we have what's known as a vSmart controller. This is like a centralized control plane. Oh my God, at last we do have something as a centralized control plane engine, like the route reflector, okay? Finally, okay? So when you're receiving these routes, what you can do, can you hear me well?
Yep.
Okay. So it is going to collecting all of these routes in the network, then it's going to reflecting them back into the data plane, to the other data plane elements, okay? For example, you're receiving a route from the edge router on your data center, and you want to reflect them into all of different routers in the network. Let's say in the campus, in the branch, in the home office, in the cloud, they want to all have the interconnection with that specific route for the data center. So you can reflect them and you can create the policy in order to deliver the data plane feature, okay? And you can do the discovery for all the routes. And all of these fabric routes in the network, they're going to have this information to the other V-Edge and C-Edge devices. And it's also to distribute the data plane information, the data plane policy. When you do want to reflect the data plane policy or app-aware routing, what is app-aware routing? So when you do want to forward the application traffic and you want to create some routing policy for the application Finally, there is a solution that you can forward the traffic not based on the destination IP address. You can forward the traffic based on application type, different application type. Let's say, for example, you do want to forward the application traffic for the Office 360 on your MPLS link, but you want to forward the traffic for the YouTube, okay? You want to use it on your, let's say, I don't know, maybe 4G, not the internet. So you can redirect the traffic to many different other links based on so many other different policies, okay? And this is where all control plane policies is implemented. So if you are going to do any, let's say, route manipulation or filtering or anything like that, it is going to be happen on the vSmart, okay? And I think for most of the people, this is a tricky part of the SD-WAN. When you need to deal with the SD-WAN, you need to be very careful to play with the vSmart, because all of these routing protocol feature, let's say the OMP, okay, the overlay management protocol, this is the TLS tunnel is going to happen from the data center into the vSmart, okay? And these TLS tunnels are responsible for the control plane information. And the router are not peering with any other component. They are going to only, at the beginning, okay, they're going to peer with the controller. So first of all, they're going to be, to start with VBAN. Then after that, when they receive the information, the forwarding information, let's say the reachability information, of the vSmart and vManage, they're going to be peer with the vManage for the management perspective, and they're going to manage with the vSmart for the routing information, okay? And these vSmart, they're only going to be peer with the vSmart, and all control information comes from the vSmart and vSmart by itself, okay? From nobody else, they are not going to receive any other routing information in the network. Is it clear?
Yes.
Good. All right. So how about the last component of this SD-WAN solution, of this SD-WAN system? So we have the WAN edge router. What is this WAN edge? So when we are talking about the SD-WAN solution, we are going to talk about forwarding actual data based on something, okay? So then, of course, the data plane we need to talk about that. And it's going to be happen on the vEdge router. Well, and we are talking about the edge router. It could be any type of router. It could be ISR series. It could be ASR series. It could be Viptela edge series. You can talk about the Catalyst 8000 series. And guys, let me tell you, the new generation, the latest generation of the SD-WAN, which is a SASE solution, S-A-S-E. The SASE solution is the latest generation of the SD-WAN. We are going to talk about SASE solution on the last part of this class as well. And that will be very, very interesting topic. And that will be very magnificent if you can understand the SASE solution and how can you move from the legacy SD-WAN. Guys, let me tell you something. Legacy, nowadays, it become a legacy technology. And there is a new generation of the SD-WAN, which is called the SASE. And as I mentioned, these devices are actually forwarding the data packet. So they're applying any kind of a filtering. So they can do the filtering based on the IP header, okay? They are mapping packet into different VPNs. Anyone knows what is a VPN? Who was, somebody was working in a CISCO SD-WAN environment. Can you just ping me? The last person is asking you a question. I didn't get the name.
Yeah, hi. This is
Hello. Tell me, what is a VPN? Hello.
Yeah, we create it for site to site through the IP sector.
No. Tell me, is Kavian, right? Kavian S. Is it your name?
This is Nanda this side.
What is your name again?
N-A-N-D-A, Nanda.
I cannot find you in the list. Anyway, okay, Indubala? No, I don't know. I don't know who are you because you are not showing your videos. It's very hard for me to find you in the list. Anyway, okay, tell me, what is a VPN in the SD-WAN environment?
SD-WAN in SD-WAN environment, when I call VPN, tunnel creating from data center?
No, it is absolutely different meaning. Okay, guys, do not confuse the VPN meaning. The VPN means the VRF. Okay, so basically in the latest generation of the WAN technology, we are creating a, let's say, front door VRF technology. What was the front door? Means you can put your front door WAN interfaces into different VRF in order to deliver the isolation, okay, and have a different VRF for your internal kind of things. So for these kind of things, we have a services VPN and transport VPN in the SD-WAN environment. And VPN means you can separate these different paths and this different network from each other. You can absolutely isolate it from each other. And any kind of things that require to do any kind of operation requires forwarding or let's say enforcement for the policy, okay, into the data packets happens in the V-Edge router. And it is a router when it's connected to the interface and it creates a tunnel between the sites, different sites. So the IPsec encryption of those tunnels is going to happen also. And also in the data plane, when you're creating those IPsec tunnels, they are going to check the the health check of these links by using the BFD or bidirectional forwarding. It's a very harsh way or a very aggressive way to control the quality of these link. And also it sorry about that. Also, let's say we can have a traditional routing protocol in the service side of the network. So if you have an internal side of your network, you can have OSPF routing protocol, you can have BGP routing protocol, you can in the latest generation it also support the EIGRP, IPv4 routing base, IPv6 routing base. There are so many other things. In the service side routing protocol or in the fabric side, you can have them both, okay? You can have them both. The main routing protocol in the fabric for forwarding these kind of information is OMP, okay? So you're going to run an overlay management, okay, protocol, which is called OMP, that we are going to talk in this course, more details about that. And OMP is the main routing protocol is going to run inside the overlay, and it's going to forward all of these different route information into the network, right? Okay. So I guess that will be enough for today. In the next session, we are going to talk a lot about the network architecture also. How can we deliver the typical SD-WAN deployment architecture? Then we are going to talk about a different type of deployment SD-WAN controllers. Let's say the vManage, you can deploy it in a Cisco cloud version, the MSP ops team, or in an on-premise version, and also the deployment of the controller by itself. That will be very interesting session, and that will be a practical session in order to see how many different ways to deploy the controller as well as the V-Edge routers. I'm so sorry. Okay, is there any questions so far? Is there any questions so far, guys?
No, not for today.
Not for today. It's very good. So guys, be my guest if you want to ask any question later on in this course, or if you want to catch up with us. I guess the next session would be live as well on YouTube, right? Gaurav, are you there?
Yeah, so the next session is not live because again we are going to deliver the few confidential things, so we don't want to disclose that. So the next session is only for the enrolled students.
All right. Okay. Got it. So today's session, we just gave you some introduction. It's very, very fast introduction about this course and how we're going to play with it. Honestly, guys, this is a course, an absolutely practical course, and we are going to experience lots of different things, lots of different deployment scenarios. I'm going to tell you deep, I'm going to deliver deep understanding of these different components and these different scenarios. And also in this course, I'm going to tell you more about hardware and software platform. And from the design perspective, if you want to deploy SD-WAN or if you want to migrate from the legacy WAN into the SD-WAN, what is your strategy? How should you deploy your controller? How should you proceed with your migration plan, how different kind of procedure you need to identify before the migration plan. Okay, I'm going to tell you a lot more about that. Okay. So if you do have any question, be my guest to ask me in the LinkedIn. If not, so I'm very happy to see you all in this class. Anyway, I'm so sorry for this cough. I just get recovered from the COVID-19, so that was the reason of my cough. Sorry about that. I guess I will be okay for the next week.
That's great. We are glad that you have recovered for that.
No worries, my pleasure.
Have you vaccinated with those?
Sorry?
Have you vaccinated?
Yes, I have been vaccinated, but I got this new generation of the BA4, and this is my first time I got the COVID. Sorry about that.
But that's a great thing that you have recovered.
Okay, thank you very much, guys. So we'll see you next time and next week. I hope I can see you all in the class, and have a good one and have a good time all around the world. Good day, good morning, good evening, and good afternoon for all of you all around the world. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Kaveh.
Thank you. Bye.